I can't even explain to you how many times I've changed my lights. I have 6 lights on right now. I feel like that's too many. So I actually filmed this video like last week or 2 weeks ago, and I just wasn't happy with the way that it turned out, and I felt like I missed a lot of points. But this is a topic that I feel like, well, obviously it's like a very popular topic, but it's also something that I've received a lot of comments about from like a multitude of people. And I was actually watching this video that was suggested. I don't know if you guys know this chick, Stephanie Buttermore. I don't know that much about her. I know that she started out as like a fitness chick on YouTube and on Instagram. I think I started following her on Instagram and then on YouTube. I believe she's like a health and fitness scientist. I know she goes into the science about nutrition and stuff like that. And she's had kind of like a very interesting journey over the past couple of years. If you're interested, I'll link her stuff down below. The cat's playing with some equipment right now. It's a little rude, but like also adorable. Stop, please. Anyway, so I was watching her video, and it was basically about, I can't remember if it was what the title was. I think it was like about fat shaming, I think is what it said. And then it kind of, this was after I filmed the video initially, and it just kind of like shed some light on things that I wanted to discuss. I've been taking notes. Shit's getting real up in here. Okay, so the first thing that is very obvious, and should be, I think, when it comes to things like body positivity, like the overall message is that like everyone is shaped differently, obviously. Like we're all different. No one's hands are gonna be exactly the same size or exactly the same. No one's feet, no one's legs, no one's height, weight. It looks different on everybody. One of the things about me in particular is like if I'm comparing myself to other people, I'm super short, I'm 5'2", but I have ridiculously long arms and gigantic man hands. It's just the way I'm shaped, man. I'm like basically like when you did circumference in measurements, wingspan measurements, when I did that in school, I remember being like, I'm literally a square. That's like not even a joke. I'm not wild about that fact, but it is a fact, and I have no control over that. You know what I mean? Like, what am I gonna do? Chop my arms in half to try and look like more normal or something? I also have like a very medium build. When I was growing up, I always wanted to be like one of these tall, like willowy, you know, runway models, like super long and lean, and like I'm never gonna be that ever. So no matter how much I like diet or work out or go for runs or whatever, I will never look that way. It's just the fact. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about in this video, and one of the points that Stephanie made in her video, was you cannot judge a person's health by looking at them. And there are a few different points about this, I think. I mean, like I just said, everybody is shaped differently. Everybody reacts to, like, I think things like health and fitness, diet, and exercise are super personal. Not everything is gonna work for everybody. You have absolutely no idea like where a person is in their health journey by looking at them. You could look at a person who you would consider overweight, but they could be like completely healthy. Numbers, charts, and this is one of the points that Stephanie makes in her video. There are plenty of people out there who are ridiculously skinny, just naturally, and maybe they drink like a case of, I don't know, fucking Coke. Drink, okay? And like just eat fast food and smoke cigarettes all day, which are all like objectively unhealthy things. Like we can agree that eating, you know, just fast food and soda is unhealthy for you versus eating healthy whole foods, natural, unprocessed, and drinking water, right? Like that's just objective. But another thing that I thought was really interesting was, I've been watching, do you know, what the fuck is his name? I just forgot it. Action Bronson. He just lost a shit ton of weight. Last I heard, he had lost like 100 and something pounds. And if any of you ever watched him watching Ancient Aliens, then you would know that like his diet wasn't fantastic. And he basically like went on this like kind of did this like health journey to lose a bunch of weight and get in shape. And he has. Why did I bring up Action Bronson? Well, I was thinking about like people who are overweight and like the fact that a person could look at someone who would be considered obese and be like, that's an unhealthy person, without knowing anything about them or knowing where they are in their journey. That person could have just made switches, like have just stopped drinking soda, quit drinking soda and replaced it with water. Or maybe they made promised themselves that they're going to go to the gym once a week. And they've already lost like 50 pounds. That's fucking crazy. But just by looking at them, you would still consider them to be like out of shape or whatever. But you don't know what they're like, what phase they're in. So that was another thing that I just thought was like a big one, because I think a lot of the time it's people judging, like basically just trying to say objectively that people who are overweight are unhealthy, and that's it, without going into any of the like little minutiae and details. For example, Stephanie was this kind of like, I'm just going to sum this up because it's like a very, very long journey. If you're interested, you should check out her channel and like see what it was. But basically she was one of these fitness chicks. She worked out like fucking crazy. She had like a crazy diet and she was ripped. And she just constantly was hungry, like constant hunger. And she couldn't seem, it seemed to be just absolutely insatiable. And basically she went on this journey to go all in, meaning that she would just eat when she was hungry. To kind of like reverse that. And it was, I believe, about a year-long process. And she's kind of like going back into losing weight. So she gained a lot of weight. I can't remember how much exactly. To be completely honest with you, I didn't follow it that closely, so I don't know all of the details. But anyway, she kind of like in that video that I'm talking about that I'm going to link down below, she shared her experience with like fat shaming. I don't know why I keep doing this. People basically like making videos, you know, criticizing her for this thing because she was documenting all of it, her weight gain, how she was feeling. And she was making points that like fat shaming does the opposite, ends up doing the opposite of like motivating people, like telling people that they're fat and that they need to like go to the gym or work out or eat better, sends a lot of people into a like self-loathing depression where you just want to feel better so you eat more. That's me summing it up. So obviously like basically the biggest takeaway from that, or like some of the things that I'm actually going to give you a timestamp because I think the biggest thing that I took away from her video was weight, fat distribution. Just by looking at a person, it doesn't indicate health or a person's journey, right? You can't know that just by looking at someone. Some people are bigger, some people are smaller, some people are taller. I had one subscriber comment, and this was actually requested by her, and she said that like she can't gain weight. She's super duper skinny, and she like no matter what she does, she just can't gain weight. I have a friend like that who's just naturally very, very slender. She eats pasta, like she basically eats whatever she wants. She doesn't work out, and she's just very slender. Like she looks like she's in shape. Some people, like people just are different. They have different genetics, right? Another really interesting video that I watched it was kind of like a slam poetry thing, but I'll have to find it and I'll have to link that down below as well, because there were some really great points in that a friend of mine shared who is a nurse, and she's a mother of 3, and I hope she wouldn't mind me saying this, but she was told basically that her 2-year-old is overweight, despite, you know, doing all of the things that like a mother tries to do in terms of health. So she shared this thing that was this woman basically like explaining that like when fat girls go to the doctor, no matter what their problem is, they're told to lose weight. And they end up being medically overlooked in all the other ways. It's always kind of like, oh, well, this hurts or you have this problem. Have you thought about losing weight? Which was very interesting because I haven't had that experience. So I'm curious if you found that. Another thing that a lot of people have brought up was kind of just the pressures of like fitness culture. Because I mean, you could argue that like Stephanie Buttermore, when she was, you know, pre this all-in thing that she went through, embodied that. She looked like she was absolutely like ripped and in super good shape and whatever, but she didn't feel good. She felt like shit. So it was kind of like this portrayal that this is like the epitome of health when her actual health was in decline, in her opinion. And then she went on this whole journey to like reverse all of that, right? There are all these like fitness chicks that, I mean, obviously not just chicks, there's like guys too, but you know, with social media, there's all these fitness people who are just like constantly going to the gym and eating perfect and putting all that stuff out there. And I'm kind of two minds of it. I kind of just feel like people need to be realistic about it, because I was receiving a lot of comments from people who were criticizing it and saying that like it's putting too much pressure on like regular people. And I agree, if you kind of like allow yourself to feel pressured by it. I understand like looking at that and saying like, of course it's unattainable for a person who is working like a 9 to 5 who has 3 kids. Of course that's unattainable. These people, you know, it's their job. They're being paid to do it. They're literally being paid to go to the gym all the time and be in perfect shape and eat perfectly and tell you how to do it. So people who like, I don't know, we can't really like fault them for it, saying that like, oh, it's this fitness culture that's like forcing people to feel like they need to be in perfect shape. Because on the one hand, you know, there are a lot of people like Whitney Simmons is one of the ones that I follow, and I love her workouts, the short ones that she posts on Instagram. A lot of them have these programs. They'll post like plenty of videos on YouTube about like quick and easy recipes. And the point of it is basically to say, like, here are options for everybody, you know? That's how I view it. I don't know. I'm curious if you feel pressured at all. This is a topic that's like very important to me. I'm very like interested in health and fitness and diet. It's been like a very long process for me, kind of educating myself about it and trying different things and seeing like where I'm comfortable. But overall, going back to the fact that we just can't judge a person's health by what they look like. The most important thing is that that you feel good, that you're in a place where you are comfortable, no matter what the weight is, like no matter how much, whatever your like fat muscle ratio is, that you are in a place that you feel comfortable and you can maintain, and your overall health is good, you know? I don't know. This is something that I'm probably going to cover a little bit more in depth in terms of like personal health and fitness, because I do enjoy this topic. But I'm kind of curious, like, obviously my experience is all I have. So I'm interested if there are any women out there or men who are considered overweight, if you felt overlooked when you go to the doctor. Obviously everybody, if you're, you know, willing to share, please do. I'm also curious if you have felt, like if you've had that thought before, where you like look at a person and you see them and they're overweight and you just assume that like what their lifestyle is like, which obviously like when you sit down and you think about it is crazy. You can't look at any person and just assume you know what they're doing or what their experience is without talking to them, right? Like I can admit that like I definitely have done that in the past. So I don't think that it's like this evil thing that people do, but it does take, you know, removing yourself from yourself for a second and putting yourself in another person's position, or just taking a second to like critically think about it. I guess that's it. Let me know what your thoughts are, and if this is a topic that you'd like to discuss a little bit more. Okay, great talk.